welcome to our World Hour of Power. We're here today with a very special guest, Mr. Ralph McDaniels from Video Music Box. And today we are with also my wonderful co-host, Mr. Glenn Greenwich, the Honorable Mayor of Sutton Boulevard.
And you are?
Lady Pauline, obviously. Welcome, Ralph, to our World Hour of Power. I'm so glad to have you on.
I'm glad to
show.
be here. I'm glad to be here. You know, you have, Lady Pauline, you have so much energy. You were like a little fire starter since the first time I met you, and I said, well, she's gonna get things done, so I gotta come on here and make sure.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's very true. Everybody says that about me. I don't know why. I don't see that in myself, but I guess it's true.
No, absolutely.
Really?
Beautiful
Wow.
energy. Yeah,
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to take you back to 1983. And tell me, how did Video Music Box get started?
I graduated from college in '82, and I got a job working at an internship. It wasn't a job; it was an intern, and I was working at this TV station called WNYC TV Channel 31. So people that really go back with me on
NYC,
Video Music Box,
yeah.
and know Channel 31. You know, we only had back then like maybe 10, 15 channels, right?
That's true.
It's 24,
cable.
9,
Yeah,
11.
13. After that, you never know what
No,
happened.
yeah, anything goes.
So we were 31, so you really had to be looking to find us on the U channel. And so UHF, Channel 31, was a station. It was a city TV station. I was working there. I got a job working there as an engineer, you know, doing camera work. And then one day, some music videos and some performances of R&B artists and soul artists came in. Really, hip hop videos didn't exist quite yet. And I was like, man, my friends where I live at would like to see this stuff. Maybe we should put something together and, you know, turn it into something. And eventually that did happen. And Video Music Box became a daily show at 3:30 to 4:30 every day, Monday through Saturday on Channel 31. And just through word of mouth, you know, it became known in the community, you know, and we reached the whole tri-state area. So folks in Connecticut were reaching out to us, people in Jersey, Pennsylvania, Long Island, you know, were all somehow or another finding us on this small TV station. And because it didn't exist, we didn't, you know, like the only time, you know, we saw black entertainers was, you know, on Soul Train.
True.
Right.
Once in a while, American Bandstand.
American Bandstand, yeah. And those were the shows that I watched. You know, I wanted to be Dick Clark. I wanted to be, you know, Don Cornelius, you know, Don Kirshner's rock concert, all these things that came on late at night. You know, you were happy when you saw it. Oh, Shaka Khan going to be on.
Right.
Earth, Wind and Fire going to be on.
Most
you know,
definite.
You know, so I wanted to create something that was for my generation at the time that could give people that same energy. And I can't forget another show. It was called Soul that I watched as a kid. It was on Channel 13. And then they used to have, you know, different artists come on. I remember Stevie Wonder was on there and Gil Scott-Heron and these different people, you know, that I knew about, but I never saw them physically, you know. So this was a chance for me to create something visually, which I thought was the wave of the time. You know, we got to see these people. Like, we hear their music on the radio, but I want to show it to you. And so that was the beginning of the whole music video wave at the same time. And that opened up a whole door of opportunities for artists as well as entertainment for people that were home that couldn't go out or didn't know the spots that we knew, you know, and they could see it right there on the TV. So if you didn't make it out to, you know, some function that was going on in Brooklyn or in Queens or in Harlem, you could watch it on my show and see it right there live.
So let me ask you this. You were the first hip hop video to really be presented. I mean, that
On a
whole
regular
format.
basis, yeah. There was some guys who had tried to do it, but it was like one time deal, but we did it every day. You know, like I did a show every day. Yeah.
So you basically went out in the street and just like videoed people?
Yeah. Well, it started off where we didn't do the segments at first. I just played videos at first. You know, just videos and you know. And at that time, once we started getting going, there was maybe 10 hip hop videos, 10 at the most, and so that was you know the situation. So, okay, there was a little technology. For those who are listening. Yeah. But eventually
Oh.
we got to be, we got to get, more opportunities, more people were tuning in, and we started to see more videos come in. I mean, we even played, in the beginning, people who really know, we played rock and roll stuff, we played reggae stuff, R&B, gospel, house music, all different types of genres, because that was what New York City sounded like. This is
Right.
before, it was like, okay, there's R&B, and there's hip hop, and there's house, it was all together.
It's all integrated.
It was all
yeah.
integrated
Yeah.
back when we started, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading somewhere that you have a degree in journalism?
Yeah,
Oh.
bachelor's degree from New York Institute of Technology in Westbury. I graduated from there, and that's how I got my start, because that from there is when I started to get these internships that eventually led me to NYC TV.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I tell people, young people, get an internship. You'll all of a sudden be in the door, and you can see how things really operate. Because somebody could tell you, like when I was in college, I learned a lot of theory about doing a TV show
Right.
or making a movie, but I never physically did it.
Did it?
Now I was in a place, I wasn't getting paid, I was going to get coffee and doing whatever, answer the phone, but I was in there watching people really do this, and that's how I learned.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
I mean, what advice would you give to young people today that wants to get into this show business scene?
It matters on what you want to do. Like, if you're a technical person, technology is super important. We need, more, especially people of color on that side of it, like we did when I first got into it. And you're seeing it now, I think people like, Tyler Perry and Oprah and them have opened up a lot of doors, now.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like they're the first. There were plenty of people doing it before that. Spike, myself,
Right. Yeah.
others, that were out there doing it, John Singleton, all these different people that
Mhm.
made a conscious effort to make it balanced on the employment or the crew, make it balanced where prior to me getting into it, it was mostly run by Italians and Irish, the technical side. And I think the combination of myself, Spike, and Minister Farrakhan making it like, hey, you got to hire more of our own folks here to be involved in this entertainment thing, especially if it's a story about our folks. We want to just see it balanced. We're not saying we got to be the whole 100%, but we want to see it balanced.
Let me ask you this. In the beginning, people, before the music industry actually understood the impact of hip hop, people were selling out of their trunks.
Absolutely.
And that was how people got their name. Fast forward, the music industry now has taken over and realized that. What impact do you see that hip hop has now, and where's it going in the future in terms of impacting the industry and the culture?
I think that hip hop has brought more employment for our young people, which is super important. Now there's a 21-year-old or 18-year-old working as a VP at some company, because he totally gets it. He's understood it since when he was 13.
Right.
So now he got it, and he's gotten an opportunity to work with it. He would never get that opportunity prior to hip hop, or a radio station or a TV station. You got young people in here now doing stuff, that they might not have gotten that opportunity back in the 80s, So that's a great thing that, that one of the things that hip hop has brought, we see the power of a Jay-Z, we see the power of Puff Daddy, of all these different, individuals that started their own business right from the community and went up and made something of themselves and now employ, 150, 200 people at their companies, and you walk in and it's all people of color, so you didn't see that, in back in the 70s and the 80s. You saw it to an extent, but not to the extent that it is now.
It is now, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, right now you're listening to Our World, Hour of Power here on Caribbean Buzz. And don't forget you can hear us on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Play, and we are heard on 144 different countries. So please don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Let's continue this conversation. Now I want to ask you something, Ralph. What are you doing today?
Um, right now, we talked a little earlier off camera
Yes.
and off mic that I work with the Queens Public Library. And so about 3 years ago, I spoke at the Queens Public Library about hip hop and film and TV. And it was very interesting. They came back to me and said, you know, we're interested in trying to have a regular curriculum here at the library. What do you think we should do? And I gave them some suggestions. I had no interest in it at the time. And then they came back like a year later and said, you know, we're looking for a coordinator, a hip hop coordinator. So I was like, well, what does that mean? You know, what does that person do? You know?
Right.
And so they gave me a description of the job, and I said, I'll do it. They said, oh, you don't have enough time, you can't do it, you know, it's not a lot of money. I said, I want to do it because I want to get it right. You know, very often, you know, I go and we travel around the world, you know, or like even here in the States where we're at Cornell University or Harvard, and they have hip hop programs there. But it's not our people teaching these hip hop programs. And nothing against the people that are doing it. They're educated people, they know what they're doing, but there's something missing. The soul is missing. You know, why did it happen like this? You know, how did we get to that point where we were plugging into a light post outside? You know, how did you get those speakers? You know, what were all of these things that made you talk? Why did you talk about that particular issue in a song? You know, so I wanted to make sure that we got that side right, and I'm glad I did. So here it is now 2 years later, and we're doing programs on a regular basis. Queens Library is unique. There's not another library that has as many hip hop programs as we do in the United States. Queens is very diverse, as you know. 138 languages spoken here. So we have to be very diverse in how we approach hip hop as well. So in Jamaica, Queens, it might be, you know, or South Jamaica or St. Albans or Cambridge Heights, it might be African American. But when I'm in Corona and Jackson Heights, it might be Asian or South American. Or in Flushing, it might be, you know, or Asian, you know, or in, you know, certain areas. So you have to kind of look at the community and make it fit for them, you know, so that they can get into it. So we do different programs that I feel are unique to that particular community. And I think it works. You know, we have a exhibit now called A Cipher in Queens, which was done by a young brother named Sherwin Banfield. He's a Caribbean descent from Trinidad. He came to this country, knew nothing about hip hop. He saw it on TV, watching my show and MTV and other shows, and fell in love with hip hop. And then said he wanted to do a tribute. He went to a Parsons School of Design, and he became a sculptor and artist, and he made this sculpture for a tribute to Jam Master Jay, Prodigy of Mobb Deep, and Phife Dawg of A Tribe Called Quest. All of those artists are from Queens,
Yeah.
3 different communities, Hollis, St. Albans, and Queensbridge. And he made this sculpture and, you know, just a dedication to these artists. I saw it in a park in Astoria. I said, I want to bring it to the Queens Library. He was like, okay, I love that. You know, he's happy. And so we brought it to Queens Library. They're 9 feet tall. You can listen to different music on each one of the statues has different music coming out of it. And nowhere in the world does something like this exist in a library. You know, maybe in a museum or something like that, but not in a library. So it's totally unique to what's happening in libraries and in institutions that are for the public and are free. And so it's a free thing. You can walk in any day. All you have to do is have your library card. You can get the headphones, put the headphones on, and you can sit and listen to a mix of Mobb Deep, you know, done by, you know, like big DJs that made these mixes. And then we have Flyer Night coming up, which is October 17th. And that's going to be pretty cool because Flyer Night is telling the story of the artists and how they developed. When you look at the flyer, it tells you a lot of information. It has a date on it, when it happened. It has an address of where this event took place. It has all of these different names and people that are associated with it, the promoter, who did the distribution of it. So we're going to do a little, you know, history of flyers thing coming up October 17th.
Vintage flyers.
Vintage flyers.
Vintage flyers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ralph, you've been in the business for so many years. Tell me at this point, what would you like to do that you haven't done yet?
I haven't done my documentary, and so we're working on that now. Hopefully, I think it's going to get done, and we have a bunch of companies that are interested. A bunch of people have come to me and wanted to do it, but I wanted to make sure I did it with the right people. I could have done it myself, but it's real difficult to tell your own story by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so we want to get the right people involved that would communicate what I said to the screen, and so that's something that that we want to get rid of, get out the way, or off the bucket list, and then the creation of the Ralph McDaniels collection and library. And
say some more about that.
Yeah, so that is very important to me because I've been doing this for 36 years, Video Music Box, and before that I was a DJ and I have things that come from that era. But we want to create a collection where we can present it in museums and libraries and in different situations where you can go through and learn about the history of Video Music Box, of Ralph McDaniels, and it just gives us some historical presence in that space, you know, like the Kennedy collection or the Martin Luther King collection, and we want to be in that same space.
Have you ever thought about maybe having like a traveling museum that you can actually take to different places?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of visualizing that. I would have loved to have something like that at the street festival on Suffern Boulevard.
Yeah.
To kind of honor, you know, who's been in here at Queens.
Yeah.
You know, like that.
That would be incredible.
Or we can do it for next year.
You know, we can do it with the library, with the
Okay.
Queens Library, because we have mobile buses, you know, the bookmobile, you know, the library.
Right.
And we do a bunch of events in Queens all the time, you know, so we can tailor it to hip hop or whatever it is, or Suffern Boulevard.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we can put certain books, whatever books are appropriate for that particular event.
Well, I don't mean to put people on the spot, but I always do. We have to do this.
Oh.
Okay.
You know why? Because and one of the things that my mission when I came to Queens Library was to make sure that we tell, from a hip hop perspective, the Queens story, because we always hear about the Bronx, and Bronx is well documented.
Yes.
And so I said we have to figure out the timeline of Queens and what that means. So I've got a bunch of guys that I knew that were down from before records were really made.
Right.
And were influencing the guys who eventually made the records. They influenced Run DMC, they influenced LL Cool J, 50 Cent, and all these other cats. So we wanted to make sure we got those guys in place first so they could tell their story, and then we created a timeline that then could go up to, you know, whoever's hot, Nicki Minaj, whoever's hot right now. And so that's a major part of this whole, you know, movement that we're doing with Queens Library.
Now, I may have gotten this wrong, but were you connected with the hip hop cafe jazz?
No, I wasn't. But I know the brother that started. You talking about the one in Hollis?
Yeah.
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 The brother that started it, he used to play on one of my teams. I was a coach back in the days with the Catholic School League, and he was one of the brothers that was played on my team. He was one. So anytime he would see me, say, "Yo, coach, I'm doing something really good."
Good.
I was like,
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, my history is Brooklyn and Queens. You know, born in Brooklyn, and then moved to Queens. So I have a rich history of, you know, sports. I played football and basketball at Bayside High School.
Bayside, okay.
And so many people went to Bayside, like my man Damon John from Shark Tank. He went to Bayside. He's younger than me.
Right.
But you know, Lance Furtado, he was in Bayside when I was there. I'm a little older than Lance. And so so we all were, and even that was, you know, like, we went to Bayside, it was only like, you know, we were being bussed in.
Right. Yes,
you know, there was old white kids. We used to have race wars going on all the time.
Yeah.
I missed a lot of that because I played sports, so I was always at practice or doing something else. But it was going on a regular basis, you know. So this was, you know, like I had this conversation with Lance, and I was like, yo, you know, our parents were pretty gangster because they moved in, like we were like the third black family on the block.
Yeah, same here.
Like nobody wanted you there.
Right.
No.
And they set up shop, and we're gonna do this. And we wanted to be
Determined.
our kids to have a better
life.
And this is where it's gonna be. And so, yeah, how can I, you know, not continue to keep doing that legacy? You know, how can any young person not want to continue to keep the legacy of. And this is not like something I'm not talking about. 1929. I'm talking about 1960.
Yeah.
No, 1970. It
Yes.
wasn't that far away.
No, it wasn't. No.
Let's not forget.
Tell me, Ralph, what is your take on how Queens is evolving these days? There's so many, so many new.
Just say it, gentrification.
Gentrification, all right, gentrification. I'm trying to be, politically correct.
No, there's no political correctness to it. It's gentrification, and it's planned out, and we have to be prepared for what's about to happen. It's not going to stop.
No.
It's going to happen. I watched it happen in Brooklyn, and it's going to happen here. So get your stuff together, and bring yourself together. Groups are better than individuals. So and whatever you want to do, step up to the plate. And those elected officials who are down with the gentrification too, don't let them fool you. They don't really care about what you want. They're gonna get what they want out of this too.
Right.
And so you have to make a stance. And the people that are the developers that are coming in, they just want to create stuff. They're the ones I think that are the most vulnerable. Like you can probably talk to them.
You can.
And so reach out to them developers, because as they're moving in and they're understanding the community, they need to understand who is there. And I don't think that all of them don't care. I think there's a lot of them do care.
That do care.
Yeah.
True.
And so whatever you have to do, look out some of these buildings. Just go to Southern Boulevard, and it's happening right there. That's ground zero for everything. So Queens, South Jamaica, it's always had value. Always had value. And we even helped it be more value, African American community, without the middle class African American community in the 60s and the 70s.
Absolutely.
All those jazz musicians, soul people,
Yes.
all the folks that couldn't live in
Atlas
Jamaica
Park,
States,
Mm.
that ended up on, on Linden and moved into the St. Albans, we made it. I feel like my parents made it important, kept the
Absolutely.
value up in
It's
that area. So you can't forget about us. There's some young brothers I know, and I'm saying, occupy that spot right there. Occupy it.
Yeah, I think it's so important for us to look at collective investing. Using the monies and the energies and the continuity and the ingenuity that we have as a people to keep that collectively and to moving forward.
Something that's very true. But Ralph, with all the entertainers and politicians and sports people of color, I still feel that we have not invested into the community properly. As far as we still don't have, certain retail places, we don't have certain places for entertainment, that things have laxed according to the way it was in the 70s. We don't have clubs anymore where we could showcase the artists, so where do people get to see all this entertainment and all this, further attractions?
No, we have to we have to align ourselves with community activists, well, not community activists, but more like council people and stuff like that are supposed to be involved in that particular area. We have to be aware that voting is important, and that we can make a difference. That'll help us make a difference. We have some very smart political people from Queens, that are representing the government, Senate, Congress, and so. It may seem like nothing's going to happen, but let me tell you this. I grew up, part of the time I lived in Brooklyn, and I lived in Crown Heights.
Sure.
And
oh my goodness.
Crown Heights is
talk about a change.
Exactly. So part of Crown Heights is African American. Part of Crown Heights is Hasidic Jew. And so you can see, if you really want to do something in the community, I watched it there with the Hasidic community. And so you just have to always keep the pressure on. It can't be, don't lax, don't let them up, be on it, and it will get done. Because they don't want no problems. They want to get reelected.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying embarrass people and make them look crazy out in the street and all that kind of stuff, but continuously keeping the pressure on people that they realize that you're not going away, and not just you, a committee. Come to them, a collective. Come to them just like they come to you. You know, it's just like you told me you do the something big. I was like, oh, we need some more hip hop on something.
Yes, we do.
Because that's an important street. Right?
Yes, it is very important. Something Boulevard that's my home. That's my home.
Yeah, well, hey, look, I just need like 2 blocks. We could have a little, you know,
A little something. But I think to your point also, you talked about the developers. The developers are interested in having new and innovative ideas.
Right.
And we have such a rich culture here
Right.
in Queens, in Southeast Queens.
Right.
And I think it's the opportunity to develop. I mean, look at the air train. The air
Right.
train has the all the jazz
Yeah.
grades up.
Yeah.
We now, I don't know if you know this, but we something part of what Something Boulevard does and a Better Jamaica, we collaborate and we bring jazz on the second floor to the air train every Thursday from 5 to 7 from October to the end of May.
Awesome.
You know, so those are the kinds of things that
Yeah.
we want to expand upon and grow upon.
It's funny you say that because I just did I was part of an exhibit that's in 42nd Street. What's it called?
Times Square.
No, the train.
Grand Central?
Grand Central, and it's on the second floor,
Okay,
and we have a whole hip hop exhibit there
good.
with just visuals. It was like it looked like a space that was probably a store at one time,
Mhm.
and maybe they couldn't sell it out, so they gave us the whole space. It's open 24 hours. 20 lights are on. You can't go in, but you can look through the window and see
what's
you know,
going on.
old school sneakers, and my man Dapper Dan has one of his jackets in there from back in the days, and we could do the same thing in Queens, you know, that represents Something Boulevard, represents the community.
Well, let's
Yeah.
let's look at developing some hip hop specific
Yeah,
venue
absolutely.
for Southern Boulevard and or downtown Jamaica, because I mean,
Yeah.
there's opportunities all over downtown
I'm
Jamaica.
100% down, in anything that I could do to bring in quality stuff that people are gonna be like really excited about. And you know, and when I say quality stuff, this is for everybody. Because in a minute, the whole look of Jamaica Queens is gonna
It's going to
change.
change
Absolutely.
And this
drastically.
is for everybody. It's for us. It's for whoever wants to go and see it.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
You know something? I like what you all just said right now. I'm going to hold you both to it.
All right.
Because I do live here in Queens. I do live in South Jamaica, Queens, and I feel that there's so much that can be done for this area, and so many different type of improvements. And with you, Ralph, and with you, Glenn, anything is possible. So let's make this happen. Also, Ralph, I know we was talking earlier about you was working with an incarceration program wherein people was able to video.
Video visitation.
Video visitation.
So
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, at the Queens Library, it's not necessarily my program. It was established maybe when I first got there. It was somebody else was doing it, and our outreach department. And so what happens is we have what they call video visitation here in Jamaica as well as in Far Rockaway. And so you can come to the library if you have a loved one that's incarcerated. You can come to the library and do a video chat with that person for, you know, if it's an hour or something like that. So I thought it was really awesome that, you know, a grandmother who might not be able to travel, you know, that distance,
Yes.
or, you know, a mother may have a bunch of kids or something like that, and that's what I see.
Because you used to
Yeah.
be able to have to get on a bus and travel so
Yeah.
distance.
And you don't want to go through all of that hassle that when
Pat-
you go
Patting
out
down,
there,
taking off your
Rikers
boots.
Island, and
Yeah,
all
I
that
remember the
kind-
last time I went, it was very unpleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, I think it makes it a lot easier if you live in those areas, and even if you don't live right in Jamaica. So I think that that's a great program. You can look it up, and you can go to queenslibrary.org and look for video visitation, and it'll tell you a little bit more about that. But we do also this thing called empowering the formerly incarcerated. So I try to make it, you know, mind where I get like some of my music friends who may have had trouble with the law, and bring them in. So we had Slick Rick, the last one we did, and he was locked up. I mean, Slick Rick might have did like 6 years, a gun charge, and he also had immigration issues. So this was at the same time, you know, the 45 was doing his thing with the immigration thing, and so we just showed how it affected, you know, our community as well. You know, he was from England, Rick. He's from England. He never had a passport. He never had a, you know, green card to stay here. So he talked about that, how they were, after he did his bid, he was a big time recording artist here in the United States. After he did his bid, they was ready to send him back to England. And you know, thankfully it wasn't now, because if it was, he would have been sent
Probably
back.
sent back,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So we do other programs like that. We have the brother Corey Wise from the Exonerated Five coming to speak soon, and so we try to make our situation a little bit easier and a little bit comfortable for folks that have to go through it, because it's not just, you know, the brother who's locked up, it's his family.
Sure.
You know, it's the grandmother, it's the mom, it's the dad, it's the kids, you know, and that's difficult, you know. So my son's been locked up, and you know, I didn't ask for that. It was nothing that anybody did. He did what he did on his own,
Mm-hmm.
but we still had to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just part of the situation that you gotta, you know, try to make it a little bit easier for our community.
Do you also have programs to deal with gang violence? I know you work with the Fataro brothers. Because, you know, I live, and I'm going to keep saying this, I live on Suffolk Boulevard, and there, in the last 2 months, there's been so many killings, so many shootings. The other day, I came out of my building, and the street was blocked off because somebody got stabbed. And they said this was a payback for, you know, something that had gang, you know.
Gang related, yeah.
Are you working and doing anything within the community to help with the youth?
I work in conjunction with a lot of the cure violence groups, like the Furtado brothers. I work directly with them. Myself and Lance went to high school together, so we know each other a long time, as well as some of the other ones that are out there. I Love My Life, and you know, just not just in Queens, throughout the city. I think that it's important to support those groups. I think that we have to show our young people the rich history of our community. They don't realize that this is especially in Jamaica, Queen, that this was a hub for all of our thinkers and artists and doctors and lawyers and all, they all come from that. And we just have to, like, you know, like, let's take a little bit of time and enrich. I don't think that these kids are dumb.
No, they're not.
I don't think that. I think they have some issues that they may have to deal with, quite obviously, but I think that we have to break it down to them in a way that they can understand it. And I'm not sure the jail system is always the answer, because it makes it worse.
Yeah.
So,
But you're right. They have to understand the history. And this community, Southeast Queens, had the highest medium income, higher than a lot of white communities. So we actually had the highest medium income of any African American section of the United States.
yeah.
And then of course, you know, 2008, with the real estate crisis and whatnot, we were again targeted, and the foreclosures and what have you were targeted specifically at this rich-based community to extract the legacy wealth that lived here.
Whatever we had, they took back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's by design. You know,
Yes.
crack came in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was by design.
Yes.
You know, you saw doctors and lawyers
Yeah.
giving all their money away, you know, and that was all by design, you know, not just here in Jamaica, Queen,
Right.
but in other areas that they knew had money, you know, so, and those type of drugs affect us
Today.
in a terrible way.
We're still feeling
Feel
the
it,
effect
yes.
of that
Yeah.
epidemic.
That's a science. That was done scientifically.
Well, not to get too political,
Yeah.
but you talk about Rick Ross, Highway Ross out in
Exactly.
in California.
Exactly.
That money was funding the Contras.
Yeah, the government. knew what
Ollie
they were
North and the whole nine. So I mean, this is this is not something that just came up. This is strategically done.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
strategically done.
That's why we need to talk about it and continue to talk about it. Ralph, how can people get this type of information, and how can people reach you if they want to get some help or they need different types of services?
Well, I tell people follow me. I'm pretty open book. So follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram all the time at Video Music Box. On Twitter at Video Music Box. I'm on Facebook, Ralph McDaniels and Video Music Box. If you want to find out about some of the events, Queens Public Library also posts all the events that we do. I post it as well, some of the events, and videomusicbox.com is another place where you can go to find out some information. I'm a little slow on updating, so go to my social media.
Ralph, I'm so glad I was able to track you down, because like 3 years ago when you did, you was at the library.
Yes.
I came to see you.
Oh, yes.
And with my son, and I was trying to get you to come on our magazine, to be interviewed for our magazine. And you said you didn't have any more business cards on you, and you was going to run upstairs.
Yes,
that was me.
Yes. Yeah, that's me.
And I waited for you for so long, and then I didn't see you come back down, so I took off and I left.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we have sort of friends that is in common,
Yeah.
like
Dawn.
Dawn
Yeah.
and
Thank
Dawn
you, Dawn.
Kelly.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to stalk you, but
Nah.
I have a way of stalking people. I admit it.
This platform is so important because we don't get enough information about specific things like this, like what we talked about today, and I'm sure you talk about it every week.
Yeah.
And it's needed because if you watch like CNN or Fox or anything, ABC, whatever, sometimes I turn on News 12 and it's like somebody's getting killed like every 5 minutes.
Yes, and
This
that's
one
all
got
you hear
killed,
about.
and I'm like, hold on, there gotta be something else going
Going on. Well, that's all they talk about.
Yeah.
There's nothing positive. Yeah, and I'm about positiveness.
Thank you.
There's a lot of people that's doing positive things in the community, young people, and all that's highlighted most of the time is the negative.
Yeah, and I actually want to thank you for the work that you've done. I mean, you've been nicknamed Uncle Ralph,
Yeah.
and that's because of all the people that you've reached out to. Video Music Box has always helped new artists
Yes.
to bring them out, to give them the exposure that they needed. And I just want to publicly thank you for that work
Well,
that was
yes.
so instrumental
Yes.
in the launching of people being able to do their art
Yeah.
and to make money in,
Yeah.
in a field, as you said, that wasn't populated by us
No.
very much back when you started out.
It's like, like Nas said to me, you gave us a shot, where we knew we could do it, but we just needed, a shot,
Exposure, yeah.
and Jay-Z said the same thing, you gave us a shot, bro, and that's all we needed, we just needed a shot, and so, I think that I was given a shot, and I wanted to continue to pass it along to other
Yeah.
people, and I tell that to Jay-Z or to Nas, like, well, give somebody else a shot, and they've done it, quite obviously, a bunch of times more than me, but that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What would you say to your younger self today?
Don't waste time. Don't waste time, because time does not wait. Man, I'll be like, oh man, what?
Did you think when you went to school for journalism that this was all going to happen? Did you have any type of vision in your head back then that
I thought this could happen.
Okay.
Yeah, that part I did, and I was passionate about it. Like, there are artists, there are people that, are accountants, or people that are lawyers. They're just passionate about it. Some people do it because they can make money and it's a good job, or they did it, you should be a lawyer. or their family was handed down to them. I was really passionate about music.
I could feel it.
Yeah, all the time.
And you still are.
You still are.
Still
Yeah.
are.
I see your eyes light up
Yeah.
when you talk
Or
about
people in
yes.
general.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, the uncle thing, it's like, somebody asked me something, if I can help, I'm gonna give them the answer. Or even go, come over here, I'm gonna show you. It's not that much that to take to do that. So, I can't do it all the time, but I try to. So I think that's what, my platform is through God, is to just do that.
I have to say I'm very happy to have you here, but I also want to say that you are very approachable, and that is something that is wonderful. Because a lot of times when people get to a certain level
Yeah.
in life, they sort of become standoffish and they don't want to reach back into the community and say, let me help you, or let me come on your show, let me, promote, so forth and so forth. And you do that. And I would have to say that that's a wonderful thing you do, Ralph. I really love you for that.
Well, we have to. I think that it's important that we support our own media. When I first started doing hip hop, it was only black people media covering it. Like Amsterdam News,
Yes.
Right.
Sun, whatever it was, the Right On magazine.
Right. Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, right on. Yeah, whatever
It was just
happened
a-
to that?
They stick around. And then when hip hop became big, the white media blocked us out. So now it was going to, whatever it was, whatever their magazines were, Billboard,
Oh, right.
And,
Okay.
TMZ and ABC and Extra. Now we're getting blocked out. We were there from day one.
Right. Right.
Because, and we have to be careful, because these artists have to be mindful of this. And we used to tell the artists, like, look, man, they're not inviting us to these events anymore. That's why you don't see us anymore. They're inviting their media to it, and the black media is getting blocked out. So it's important that the artists know that, and that the PR people that are putting these events together understand that we're paying attention to what you're doing. So you're really a PR person, you might want to think about what you're doing right now, because we can make you look bad, and we can make your artists look bad. So don't do that. So we pay close attention to that, and that's why I always support our platforms. And when I say our, the people that were there from the beginning. It don't have to be black people, it could be Latin people, it could be Asian people, it could be whatever. But just be mindful of it, that you don't get caught up in, the artists. Because the artists can get caught up in it real fast.
Yes, very fast.
And they don't care, And I'm like, yo, dog, I don't care what you tell me. When you come down, those people ain't hanging with you, bro. I don't care what you tell me. Once you don't have a hit record, or you don't have a hit TV show, or movie, or whatever it is that you're doing, they don't care about you. And we were still here from the beginning, because we understood you from watching you come from the bottom to up. So be mindful of that. Yeah.
That's great.
Glenn, can I ask you what's going on in the community? We had a wonderful Harvest Fest 2 weeks ago. What's your next agenda for the community?
Well, we're looking at what we have usually a Thanksgiving outreach at the Grace Church, and then we're going to look at what we're going to do in terms of a holiday event at a shelter. So we look to do some outreach going forward at the food pantry again, and we're looking to actually get some sponsors in to support that activity as well. So those are important things coming up. We're going to have an annual event in December, and so I'm actually looking to probably bring in a gentleman to talk about 10,000 business opportunity. That's a growth opportunity for businesses, and I actually want to reach out to Ralph and make sure that some of the hip hop artists are also get themselves certified as MWBEs, Minority and Women Business Enterprises, with all of the activity going on at JFK Airport, the 13 billion upgrade.
Yes.
So they're gonna be venues, TWA Hotel just opened up. And so they're gonna be looking for kinds of entertainment and
Yes.
other things. And again, that MWBE is a strong piece of what we as a community have to think about and focus on, getting our entrepreneurs in contact, in touch with that money that's available. So
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You're listening to Our World, Our Power here on Caribbean Buzz TV and radio. And please don't forget that you can hear us also on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Play. And please follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
And I want to let everybody know that one of our sponsors is the law firm of Stephen G. James and Associates, located at 8766 Suffern Boulevard. The number is 646-905-9000. And this is a guy that you want to work with you. He hasn't lost a case in over 30 years. So definitely check him out.
Ralph, one final question. Let me put it this way. Where do people today get to see the Black entertainers here in Queens, besides Black Spectrum or JCAP?
I mean, there's plenty of venues that, quite obviously you pay for to go to. I mean, I go to a bunch of events now at the Barclays Center, and we have, one of the things that we've been doing too is working with the City Field to do more stuff there, for entertainers, because, I'm a Met fan. We're not doing that great, so we need extra things to keep us occupied besides baseball. And so, anything you can come up with will be helpful at City Field. Sorry, City Field.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, there's events, throughout the community that are happening, young people, they know all of the spots. I'm not up on it. I don't hang out like I used to. But yeah, we try to create, a bunch of stuff, of course, at the library that we do. And I've, worked with JCal as well, do stuff with them over there. And I think that there's another space, we call it the Hall of Fame. It was originally a record store in the Coliseum. And now they're around the corner. So they have set up an art space, and it's dedicated to Queens hip hop artists. Well, not just hip hop, just artists in general. And they do events there. It's like you can go out and you can do.
I've seen it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because they can actually rent
You can
studio
rent a
time
studio there,
and
yeah.
so on and so forth.
And they have, it's right there, ground level. It's like it was originally a store that you can walk in, and now they have a downstairs art space where you can do photo shoots and stuff like that right there. And it's called Hall of Fame. It's on social media, and that's a pretty cool space.
164th Street.
Yeah, 164. Young brother, Jewel, good energy, doing things, understands the street cats, understands the creative cats, and is bringing them together. So,
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Ralph, thank you so much for being on Our World, Our Power. We've been having a conversation with Ralph McDaniels for the past hour from Video Music Box, which he started in 1983. And if you need to get in contact with him, he's in the library over here in Jamaica, Queens.
Yeah.
And he's also working with other libraries. It's not just the Jamaica, Queens branch, but several other libraries within New York City. So please continue to listen to Our World, Our Power with Lady Pauline and our Honorable Mayor, Mr. Glenn Greenwich of Southern Boulevard. Catch you all next week. And remember, where your news reflects you and our community, that's our world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thanks for
It's
having
been
me.
a real pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.